This is the end of the beginning. Welcome to today's show, Mitch the Glitch. If you haven't seen this video footage from today of Mitch McConnell, who is the Republican leader in the United States Senate, well, you got to see this, and this isn't the first time, of course. You have to see it to believe it, because what we're seeing is a pattern here. They're showing us these things over and over again. Now, I know it's easy to look at this, and it's easy. The first thing everybody's going to say is it must have been a certain something he took that's making him glitch like that. Or we can look at the theory, which there's a lot of truth behind, that a lot of these people have clones, and a lot of these clones are having glitches, right? We've seen this with Jamie Foxx. We've seen this with Kanye West, and we know of the technology that they have to create clones, which has been around for quite some time, yet people still don't believe it because of the fact that they're so dumbed down. But we've seen the predictive programming in movies, and they're showing us this theme over and over again. But Mitch McConnell, this isn't the first time, which is another reason that we know that they're showing us this for a reason as our country continues to collapse. They're giving themselves scapegoats, and they're trying to make this entire sabotage of the United States of America look like it's realistic. Take a look at Mitch McConnell here having a glitch of, well, a glitch of epic proportions.
Senator, you're up for election in 3 short years. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing you.
That's okay. What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator Benny.
okay.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
So everybody could see that and laugh and kind of just be like, oh boy, right? What's the initial reaction? Oh my goodness, we're in trouble, right? Oh my goodness, this guy isn't just like a governor, which would still be very scary. This guy is in charge of, the Republican representative in the Senate. So where do we see this theme? We see this theme throughout Congress right now, right? Joe Biden is playing this part perfectly as America is crumbling, as they're setting America on fire and using weaponized weather, amongst other things, right? Division, all the things that they're doing and throwing on the American people, inflation. They're rolling him out there playing the bubbling buffoon who, after every speech, he doesn't know which way to go. And of course, nobody has any sense of reality there. Nobody would be like, hey, you know what, next time, after the first time this happened, next time Biden gives a speech, maybe we should lead him off stage because he walks in the wrong direction, walks around aimlessly, ends up falling, ends up saying things that don't make sense. No, they're doing it by design so that you believe what's happening here with this country is happening because of incompetence. They want that because that plays into the national divorce narrative. And the thing with Mitch McConnell as a Senate leader, or the Senate representative of the Republican Party, gives you the left and the right, how both sides are obviously, yes, playing their role, but we're all responsible for the demise of America as we know it. And this also ties into the narrative of how old you should be able to be in Congress. They're bringing this up on the liberal mainstream media for a reason. They're talking about Biden's age. They're talking about people like Chuck Schumer, people like Mitch McConnell being allowed to serve as long as they have. There's the woman have you seen the woman in California who doesn't know what's going on, who's, look, the liberal media covers it as well, which tells you that they want this messaging out there. Otherwise, they would just bury these stories and they wouldn't throw these people under the bus. This is by design for this New World Order government structure. They're going to trick people into wanting this. They're going to trick people into it happening because of all the things that are in place now. Have you seen this video of Mitch McConnell from a month ago? Then I'll show you a video of this other woman in California.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're on a path to finishing the NDA this week. It's been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Are you good? Mitch.
Okay, Mitch. Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press?
Go ahead, John.
I'll take it back.
So it's the same exact thing. It's the same exact thing a month ago, Mitch McConnell, right? After that event, they decided to roll him back out. They weren't like, oh, maybe he should step aside. No, they roll him back out, and the same exact thing happens. His eyes stare upward, and people just continue to slap themselves in the face going, what is happening here? Oh my gosh, they rolled him out. America's going to be destroyed. That's exactly what is happening, and it's happening by design. These people are playing roles. Here's another one from a few weeks ago, Dianne Feinstein. I wonder what or how many bagels she has every morning for breakfast. So here's Dianne Feinstein, who's like 100 years old, not being able to even comprehend where she is or what's happening, because that's, they're showing this not because, oops, a camera accidentally caught it. The mainstream media is covering it, which tells you there's an agenda behind it. Take a look at this one.
Today about the health of some of the longest-serving members of Congress. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell abruptly stopped talking at his weekly news conference. His staff said that he was feeling lightheaded, but today California Senior Senator Dianne Feinstein appeared extremely confused and had to be prompted to vote.
Senator Feinstein.
Say aye.
Pardon me?
Aye.
Yeah.
Just say
I would like to support a yes vote on this. It provides $823 billion. That's an increase of $26 billion for the Department of Defense. And it funds priorities submitted.
Yeah, just say aye.
Okay, just
Great,
aye.
At 90 years old, Feinstein is the oldest sitting member in the U.S. Senate. She has been battling shingles since spring and appeared to be in frail health. She returned to the Senate last month after announcing that she will not seek re-election next year.
Right? So that's another person. So we're seeing all of this incompetency in power. Now, the amazing part, I think even they're laughing about, isn't that people are finding these people incompetent. It's the fact that there's people out there who still think that they're okay and fit to serve, even though they're deliberately doing this to sabotage, or deliberately doing this because they know people will believe that this country's being sabotaged because the people we elected weren't fit to serve, and we need to change the laws, we need to change the bills, we need to change the Constitution, we need to change all of the term limits and all that stuff. Which, of course, everybody would agree with the term limits needing to be changed. But in a New World Order structure, in a dictatorship, there's no term limits because there's no elections, and none of this stuff will even matter. But this is all done by design. And, of course, what else have we seen over the last couple of years? These are all things that have never been done before, by the way. Politicians, other than Joe Biden when he was in office before he was president, has been a plagiarizing fool for centuries, decades, I should say, who has gone out there and actually just lied on camera. And, that's why he fits this role perfectly that he's playing right now. If you haven't seen the video clips of Biden where he's pretty much ripping off JFK's speeches and things like that.
But this standard is not a measure of how we can evaluate the condition of our society. It cannot measure the health of our children, the quality of our education, the joy of their play.
Yet the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children, the quality of their education, or the joy of their play.
Let us pledge that our generation of Americans will pay any price, bear any burden, accept any challenge, and meet any hardship to secure the blessings of prosperity and the promise of opportunity for our children.
We shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe to assure the survival and the success of liberty.
And I started thinking as I was coming over here, why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university?
Why am I the first Kinnick in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Glenys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get the university.
No, it's not because they weren't as smart. It's not because they didn't work as hard. It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
Does anybody really think that they didn't get what we had because they didn't have the talent or the strength or the endurance or the commitment? Of course not. It was because there was no platform upon which they could stand.
I mean, he was a laughing stock, which is why they picked him and put him in for this position right now for the downfall of America. So that people just go, what? Well, it's the Democrats' fault for electing him while everything crumbles, and he's just walking around in circles knowing exactly what he's doing, and they're playing the role of the corrupt politician. They're doing it perfectly because people are buying into it. To me, it's laughable because I look at it and I say they're not doing a perfect job. It's overacting at its finest. They're going above and beyond to portray these roles, but everybody else out there is buying it. So that tells you that it's working for them the way that they want it to. And then you have John Fetterman, right? We had John Fetterman put in where everybody looked at it. They put, Dr. Oz played the role perfectly against him, right? Dr. Oz, who is not a conservative, played the role of conservative, right? Oh, the conservative Dr. Oz, who's best friends with Oprah. Now suddenly Oprah doesn't want to be Dr. Oz's friend, just like Oprah doesn't want to be Trump's friend, right? Actors, actors, actors. And what happened? Fetterman couldn't complete a sentence. And somehow Fetterman supposedly got voted in.
What qualifies you to be a U.S. Senator? You have 60 seconds.
Hi, good night, everybody. I'm running to serve Pennsylvania. He's running to use Pennsylvania. Here's a man that spent more than $20 million of his own money to try to buy that seat. I'm also having to talk about something called the Oz rule, that if he's on TV, he's lying.
Fetterman, please explain your changing position. 60 seconds.
I've always supported fracking, and I always believe that independence with our energy is critical, and we can't be held, ransom to somebody like Russia. I've always believed that energy independence is critical, and I've always believed that, and I do support fracking. I've never taken any money from their industry, but I support how critical it is that we produce our own energy and create energy independence.
I must correct the record.
Just a second, Mr. Oz. I do want to clarify something. You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, I don't support fracking at all. So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand, and I do support fracking.
Is it over yet?
Which is giving people what? It's giving people the thought process of, you know what? We can't have, it's making Republicans say, hey, we can't even have an election anymore because these idiot Democrats are putting in these incompetent people no matter what, just because they're Democrats, right? That's the mindset that the Republicans have. That's what they want the narrative to be. This plays into a national divorce. This plays into dictatorships, and this plays into two separate countries with two separate rules, with two separate forms of government. And that's what we're headed towards right now. So all of these guys are playing roles, all of them. I mean, they wouldn't be talking about this stuff. Mitch McConnell would have been rolled back out. The old Feinstein lady wouldn't have been national news. Them bringing up age internalists, because again, in this New World Order structure, it's going to be the youth's New World Order. The young people out there are the ones who are going to ask for it. They're the ones who are completely dumbed down. And if you're young and you watch this, don't think that you can't not be dumbed down. And not every single individual who's young is stupid, but we're talking about the vast majority of people. And it's very, very, very frightening, the amount of people out there that buy into what they're seeing, and then you see how they behave. You look at the behavior of Gen Z, right? Taking selfies 24/7. The stuff they say, listen to them talk. They're completely dumbed down. They're just repeating things they hear, and they're just acting like the rappers and the heavy metal guys that they look up to, et cetera, et cetera. So the youth is going to be responsible for this, because the youth are going to say, we need age limits, we need these old people gone, blah, blah, blah. Which, again, is something that does need to happen. None of these people should stay in power. right? None of these people like Chuck Schumer should be allowed to be there. We know what they're doing, but they're going to convince the youth that they're the ones changing the world, which is why you hear the narrative over and over again about, and you see all these commercials with kids and they're like, we're the future. We're the ones doing this. We're this, right? And we see these stories about how the UN is going to help these young children, young teens, I should say, sue the governments because they're not doing enough about the climate, right? They're empowering stupidity. And then these people are going to say, they're going to plant the seeds. Oh, these old people shouldn't be in. It should be the young people. It's all going to work into the New World Order enslavement system and the worship of the Antichrist. So they're the ones who they're convincing of all this stuff. And they're showing them these things. But don't think for 1 second. And it's funny to look at it. I mean, when you see the Mitch McConnell clip, you can't not laugh. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I laugh because I feel like I'm watching like an F-level horror movie. Like Jason Takes Manhattan. Right? Some like really bad horror, even worse than that. I mean, and that's pretty bad, right? Or like, some of these the sequels of like the Nightmare on Elm Street, or even like, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Any of these movies are Troll is a perfect one. Troll 2. I've seen these when I was younger. These horrible B-level, C-level, D-level horror films. The acting is just over the top bad. That's what I see when I see Mitch McConnell. That's what I see when I see Joe Biden. Other people are actually buying into it, and they're like, oh my gosh, the country's falling because these incompetent fools and the Democrats elected them, and we can't live amongst the Democrats anymore because this is what happens, and we got to go separate. And they'll agree. The Democrats will say the same thing about Republicans because they have the whole narrative with Trump and hate speech and mean people and people who don't want kids to castrate, so they're insane. And the other people are falling for the deception too, when in reality we should all be uniting, realizing that they're playing all of us like we're puppets. They're just pulling our strings. They know exactly what they're doing. Psychological warfare is what they've mastered. That's what the CIA has mastered. That's what they've been working on all these years. That's what all these experiments have been about. Now we're seeing it on a mass scale. So every single story that makes the news makes it for a reason. If the media is so liberal oriented, every single thing is out there is pro-liberal. They don't acknowledge all these things that they make mistakes on. They don't go back and say the stuff about the potion, anything like that, right? They would put these stories out there about their own people, like Feinstein, about Biden. They show this stuff with Biden. They show the poll numbers with Biden, like I've been covering over and over, right? He's too old to serve. Democrats even think he's too old to serve. Oh no, Republicans think he's. Why would they even put that out there and put that seed in people's heads unless they wanted to? They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't cover the story. They would ignore its existence. Like anytime real truth is presented to the liberal media, they ignore it. They don't even address it. And then if they feel the need to, they'll just deflect on it. So the media covering Biden not being, his approval ratings being low. These are all seed plants for what they're about to do with the 2024 election. And what you're interpreting is happening in this country. Because if people really knew that these guys were working together and sabotaging our country and causing these fires and causing all of this climate crap that they're doing with their weaponized weather technology, then people would ban against them. They would all get together and go against them. Even people in the military, even once, maybe not the super soldiers who are under full mind control, they're Manchurian candidates, but a lot of them would turn and say, what are we representing? But as long as they keep them in this hive mindset and believing all this crap that they put out there on purpose, then nobody will ever be able to unite against this. And that's what they want. It's an excuse. It's a cop-out for the destruction of the United States of America. So Mitch McConnell, I know people are going to look at it, and I get it. When you see Biden, you want to believe it's true, and I get it. He is an imbecile in real life. There's no doubt about that. But he's playing the role. He's playing up to the role, right? What's the other thing he does that's a stereotype of old men? He yells and screams, right? There's the meme of the old man screaming at the sun, right? That's a stereotype. He's playing the stereotype to a T, right? He's playing like I've showed you those montages of Hot Shots and those other movies where he's Scary Movie where Leslie Nielsen plays the president. And Bridges plays the president in Hot Shots. It's the same character. They can't complete sentences. They're complete buffoons. They're the dumbest people in America, and they're running the country, right? Running it into the ground. And we all know the stereotypes for old men are to be senile and dumb and then scream in anger. And what do we see Biden do all the time? He screams out of nowhere. And people are just like, what is he screaming at? And they laugh at it. They're buying into this. It's working perfectly the way that they have it planned to work. So it's easy to look. I get it. With Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is a buffoon. But they're all members of the same secret societies. They have to convince you again that this is actually happening so that you don't actually wake up and realize it's sabotage, that it's just the Democrats' fault for electing these people. Then they'll say the same thing about Mitch McConnell and the age limits of these people. Oh, okay, well, he's an old guy that's having glitches on TV too. So we need to do this. Is all done because this is what they want to have happen. It's a show. These are your real actors at work. A reminder: check out the website if you haven't yet. There's an important video up over there on worms. Let's call it Wormgate. You might have remembered a lot of things that were being found in masks. Halloween masks. I mean, masks that people like to wear out in public. And that's as far as I can go out here on YouTube because I can't talk about this stuff here. I get strikes. I've lost, another YouTuber I know has lost, I think it was like in the 40s, 50s, I don't know how many channels, but especially talking about those topics. So it's over on the website, uprisingrevival.com. Join now if you haven't. A lot of great information over there. Want to thank the Patrons for supporting this work. Because of you, it helps me make more content. So if you like daily content, please consider becoming a Patreon. Make sure, again, you sub to my other channels if you haven't yet. Thanks again, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always and your families.